I was thinking about moving out to LA and everything, going hardcore. But honestly, I didn't do it because I was afraid of failure. The Santana law firm, a lot of high profile civil rights cases. So a lot of the wrongful death cases, police shootings you see, wrongful imprisonment, we do a ton of that. Of course, I do criminal defense, and then we do personal injury and accident cases. Those are primarily the four areas I focus on.
A Latino judge in Orange County. What's some of the adversities that you have faced being Latino, whether it's being the judge, having your own firm?
To become a judge, I had to go out there and get votes. I was knocking on hundreds upon hundreds of doors, and sometimes the people that would answer the door.
Has there ever been a moment in your profession where you just was like, man?
Yeah, 100%. It's not there to help you. Well, in one sense, if you refuse to blow, your license will automatically be suspended by DMV, as long as, by way of a DMV hearing,
Que lo que mi gente, you know what it is. Podcast Central. Your boy, Tank Sinatra. We in Coastal Chronicles NYC, a.k.a. Taino Domingo. Call me anything but late for dinner because I love to eat. You know who I got right next to me on the left of me. The Activation King. Dren Star, talk to them, my brother.
Yo, what's going on?
Yo, listen. Hold on. I got to cut you off. You know I'm a cut-off king.
Wow.
Listen.
So, hold on.
Hold on. But for this interview, I gotta say this before we even go any further, right? Me, you call me Mr. Then, but a fun fact about my man right here, that nigga hates anything sports. If it ain't Channel 9 News or some court shit, he ain't watching it. Straight up. With that being said, what's happening, sir?
I'm chilling, brother. You know what I'm saying? Blessed to be alive, blessed to be free.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? We in the Duce Lounge, big Duce vibes.
All day.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our sponsors, Duce, of course, Red Bull, Paper Planes.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Godspeed family. You know what I'm saying? They blessed me with some dope merch.
I ain't gonna hold
You know
you.
what I'm saying? But yeah, we got to tell them to like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Listen.
Listen. Y'all know what time it is, man. When we come on the scene, make sure y'all got that notification popping. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you send it to your people. You know what the fuck is going on, man. We giving you the content that you need. Bottom line. With that being said, my brother, yeah, Godspeed got you looking right.
Yeah, this show is for the culture. So we got all types of situations going on here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make it make sense. So y'all going to enjoy this one. We're going to get it to the nitty gritty. Do what you do, brother.
Let's go. Let's get it. Some people carve out a lane for themselves, and some redefine the whole game. Today's guest is the latter, a powerhouse in the legal world who has broken barriers and set the standard for what it means to serve both the law and the community. From the Bronx to the bench, he's built a career that spans prosecution, private practice, the public service, all while staying committed to justice, mentorship, and giving back. His legal journey started with elite training, earning his law degree from Hofstra, leading his trial team to a championship, and catching the attention of federal judges for his courtroom skills. From there, he stepped into the fast-paced world of criminal prosecution, handling thousands of cases from street crimes to homicides. But he didn't stop there. Knowing he could have even a greater impact, he launched his own law firm, taking on high-profile criminal defenses, civil rights cases, and personal injury matters at both the state and the federal level. Not only has he made waves, he's made history, becoming the first Latino judge in Orange County, New York. He presided over one of the busiest courts in the state, bringing efficiency, fairness, and a deep-rooted commitment to justice. His work didn't go unnoticed. He's been honored with a Civic Leadership Award, a Humanitarian Award for Excellence in the Community, and recognition from the New York State Senate. And whether he's serving on boards, mentoring students, or shaping criminal justice reform, his impact is undeniable and powerful, but his influence doesn't stop in the courtroom. You've seen him on Law and Crime Network, Fox News, ABC, Oxygen, weighing in on major legal issues. He's taking a stage at the Mensa World Gathering, bringing sharp insight to law enforcement misconduct. And if that wasn't enough, he's also an actor, a professor, and a devoted husband and father. So let's get into it. I'm honored to introduce Jamie Santana, Esquire.
Damn, brother, thank you for that introduction, man.
Yeah, brother.
I'm going to have to hire you guys and just kind of bring you anywhere I need an introduction.
Just give me the bullhorn.
No, seriously, man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I know we've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity for us, man, to just keep building and growing. and just sharing our experiences with each other. That's what it's all about, with the hope that we can help someone else out there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, the experience, sure, I'm grateful for it. But if I can look back and say, okay, because of that experience, I've been able to make a difference, that's what really matters for me. But I appreciate it.
For sure.
The crazy thing is how life works, right? So we met this gentleman, want to say probably 4 months ago. We was coming to shoot a pod, and Armando introduced us, and it was literally an introduction, and then next thing you know, he sat down. We had a whole podcast without even having a podcast or even thinking of having a podcast.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So with that being said, we brought the brother back so he can give his backstory, and hopefully there's somebody that's watching this that can get inspired and be the next Esquire. With that being said, brother, talk to the people, let them know your backstory on how you grew up, you know what I'm saying, in the Bronx, things that nature.
Absolutely. Born and raised in the Bronx, Castle section. Grew up in a family, in a household where, some may say it was a typical Puerto Rican family where, I think at one point I counted 9 to 12 family members in one house. But we made it work. Parents were there. Grandparents were there. It was that kind of a household, during a time when if you stepped out of line, grandma or grandpa would slap you right upside your head, right? You don't see as much of that anymore, at least without resistance. But that's how I was raised. And I appreciate it every single moment of it.
First and second generation?
Yeah, first generation Puerto Rican American here. Third generation Puerto Rican American here. And so for me, when you ask first, I've become the first for the most part. I was the oldest. I'm the oldest in my family as far as my immediate family. I have my younger brother, Joe. Joe, love you. Tia, love you. But because I was the firstborn, you have a certain level of responsibility in terms of what you're doing and the example you're trying to set, not only for yourself, but for others. But born and raised in the Bronx, went on to, I attended Mount St. Michael Academy in the Bronx, proud of it. From there, I went on to graduate from Binghamton University, Bingo, upstate New York. And after that, as you mentioned, I went to Hofstra for law school, Hofstra University, out on the island. And it was really during that time, actually, let me go back. I didn't really decide on becoming an attorney until probably officially, I would say, maybe my sophomore year in college. I actually thought I was going to pursue becoming a full-time actor, which many of us, face sometimes, right? Because in the back of my mind, I'm saying to myself, damn, all these years studying hard, I'm going to move out to LA and become an actor. What if it doesn't work? What am I going to do? And so at the time, I said, you know what? Let me focus. Let me refocus, I should say, because I also had a love for law. I said, let me focus on becoming an attorney. But I never gave up that passion for acting. I took acting classes as well in college. I did very well. I just didn't pursue it. So I went on, eventually became an attorney, eventually landed my first job as a prosecutor at the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, which was a great experience. It's interesting. People ask me, well, how did you become a prosecutor? And there's a little background to it. So upon graduating from law school, actually before graduating from law school, I had interviewed for a position at a Wall Street firm that specialized in personal injury cases. And I could recall the owner of that firm saying, listen, Santana, he happened to be judging us during a trial techniques course. He loved my style and performance, and he said, I think you'd be a phenomenal attorney. I'd love to hire you, and you're going to get paid well, but you're not going to see a courtroom for the first 2 years as an attorney. And I had a problem with that. He said, you're going to be pushing paperwork, things of that nature.
Paying your dues.
Paying your dues. But he said, if you really want to become a trial attorney and learn immediately what it's like to be thrown in the courtroom and just getting busy immediately, you should become a prosecutor. So ultimately, that's what I did. So I went from having the opportunity to earn a significant amount of money as fresh out of law school attorney to taking on a job at the Brooklyn DA's office. And at the time, damn, no exaggeration, I think they started us somewhere around $36,000 a year. And that was tough. I was a single man at the time, but it was tough because I'm thinking, damn, $36,000 a year. What am I going to do with that over time? You know, how many raises can you possibly get within a certain period of time? But I had to refocus, and I had to realize I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it to gain the experience, keeping in mind that one day I was going to start my own practice. And so I believed that equipping myself with the skills and techniques that I was going to learn as a prosecutor will enable me to take on any case thereafter. And so that's what I did. I became a prosecutor. I paid my dues. And then shortly thereafter, I said, it's time for me to start my own practice. I always knew I wanted to start my own practice. So I did that. Opened up the first office in the Bronx, New York, right on Soundview Avenue, close to where I was born and raised. I thought it was important for me to do it in my hometown, so to speak, because that's where my people were. That's where my resources were. And I knew I'd be able to immediately start bringing in cases. And so that was the beginning of my journey in terms of becoming an attorney. And then, so along the way, life happens at the same time, right? So I became a father, and so your responsibilities start to change, because now you're not only thinking about yourself and what works for you. The minute you become a father, things change. Everything changes. So ended up moving to upstate New York, Orange County, wanted to, expose my son to a different life. I'm, like I said, born and raised in the Bronx, always proud of it, but I just wanted something different for my son. That was my choice. And I still have family that lives in the Bronx. I'm always in the Bronx. It was just a choice I made at the time. And so that's what led me to having an opportunity to become the first Latino judge in Orange County. Which you talk about, sort of shaking up the feathers there, man. I mean, imagine this, this relatively young Puerto Rican guy from the Bronx, New York, moving up to Orange County. Statistically, you don't see people with our skin color sitting on a bench. At least at that time, you just didn't see it.
Yeah, now you got a whole bunch of Puerto Ricans living
right.
up there
But now the opportunity presented itself. And so, I didn't have aspirations of becoming a judge at the time. It's just something that kind of fell in my lap, so to speak. And I said to myself, you know what? This opportunity is not about me. It's about others. It's about me having the opportunity to sit on that bench and let people, our people, see it is possible. It is possible. And so I did that. And by then, my daughter was born as well. And what was an amazing, amazing experience for me, just so grateful for it, was the fact that my children had the opportunity to watch their dad be sworn in as a judge.
Fire.
Like, that was an amazing opportunity. Like, if nothing else, that right there. In particular, a Latino judge at that, right? And so my experience as a judge was a great experience. I would have, individuals charged with a crime routinely come into my court, and my approach as a judge wasn't to just look at what they're charged with and do the typical, maybe throw the book at them, judge them, things of that nature. No. I would, if it was a young man or even a young lady, I was the kind of judge that was known to take the young man into my chambers along with the court officers and talk and say, young man, when you walk into court, present yourself well. You know what I mean? When you leave your home, and this is what I would tell people, when you leave your home, you are representing to the world who you believe yourself to be. Whoever you believe yourself to be. But just understand this. If I can do it, you can do it. Right? And so they would appreciate that. Some of them, they were never spoken to like that. Maybe some didn't have fathers around, right? And so those types of opportunities were important to me. Or instead of putting someone in jail, maybe I gave them put them in a drug program. And so I would have mothers and fathers and parents come up to me and say, Judge Santana, thank you so much for giving my child, my husband, my daughter an opportunity. And so that was a great opportunity being a judge, but ultimately it wasn't for me. It restricted me from being able to move with a certain amount of freedom. I enjoyed being in private practice, still in private practice, and so I moved away from that. And so my focus has been private practice, and it's been extremely, extremely rewarding. Moved out of Orange County, moved a little closer now to the city, just so I can be able to, get in and out of the city for my clients a little bit easier. And so now the Santana Law Firm, we primarily specialize in a lot of high-profile civil rights cases. So a lot of the wrongful death cases, police shootings you see, wrongful imprisonment, we do a ton of that. Of course, I do criminal defense, and then we do personal injury and accident cases. Those are primarily the 4 areas I focus on. But I'm finding myself more and more, in addition to the criminal cases and other stuff, I got to tell you, man, in terms of what goes on in our society, those civil rights cases, they're just endless because of so many violations that people are encountering and enduring. And I think if someone were to ask me what's most rewarding, I mean, no doubt if I'm on trial and I'm representing a client who's maintained his or her innocence and we go to trial and the person's found not guilty, that's extremely rewarding, of course. But on the other side, with respect to civil cases, I really, really am passionate about holding people accountable for their actions. I mean, that is something that I love to wake up for and do on a daily basis. For some people, they go through their daily lives routinely violated, whether you're on a private entity working as an employee or whether you're being violated by members of law enforcement, whether it was corrections, whether it was state or federal, and many of them don't have a voice. You know what I mean? Many don't have a voice, and that's where I come in, to be the voice for those who don't have a voice. And I'm proud of what I do, but most importantly, the highest level of compliment is when a client or maybe former client is expressing to me how happy they are, not necessarily with any type of guaranteed outcome, but just the passion I've brought to them as an attorney. Because I tell people, listen.
That shit is rare.
Yeah, 100%. And I tell people, I don't care how much you pay an attorney, whether it's me or the next attorney. There's no attorney in the world that can guarantee you an outcome. Any attorney who tells you that is full of it. I will always never hesitate to turn a client away if it meant that client wanted me to make them a guarantee. And I've done it before. But what I do guarantee is you're gonna get 200-300% effort from me and passion. That makes a difference. And in my experience, I find that clients can appreciate and respect honesty when an attorney is being honest. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're not hiring me to tell you what I think you want to hear. You're hiring me to be honest. And let's work through this battle together. I look at my clients as my teammates, not just a name on a piece of paper, not just a dollar amount. You hire me, we become teammates. We collectively figure out how we're gonna navigate through this case, whether it's criminal, civil, whatever it is. And that's how I handle my cases, you know? All
right, so let's we're gonna rewind a little bit.
Yeah,
that was a lot. That was a lot.
Let's do it, man.
That was a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you said that. You say you come from the Bronx, right?
Yep.
So, this part that we do is for the culture. We have a lot of artists here. We have a lot of relevant people that's shaking and moving. They got a name for themselves. And for the most part of it, they're rappers, they're producers, some are former drug dealers. The list goes on. And you come from the Boogie Down Bronx. What made you pursue law instead of being the regular, I'm going to be a rapper, I'm going to be a producer, and I'm a, you know what I mean? Like, what made you want to do the law route? Why law?
So for me, even when I was even before becoming a teenager, I remember my parents would always tell me, you should become an attorney because you love to debate. And it was true. Like, I never knew how to accept no for an answer. Not in a disrespectful way,
That's crazy.
but in a challenging way. Yeah. Like if you told me A, B, and C, well, why A, B, and C? Yeah. I wanted to always dissect
Why
everything.
not 1, 2, 3?
Right, right. And I would always dissect everything and then drive them crazy. I'm like that to this day. My wife to this day, when we have
I'm the same way, brother, so I get it.
Let me tell you, man, when the wifey and I have our disagreements, she says every time,
shut it off.
I'm not on trial.
Yeah, shut it
I'm
off.
not a witness. And I tell her, but babe, I don't mean to come off that way.
But it is what it is.
But let's just talk about this. Yeah. Let's work through this.
Bendito, she got no wins.
No,
she has to love you,
listen,
bro.
I love her to death. I drive that woman crazy. 100%. 100%. But I think that's where it started. And then moved on to high school. I think I did some debating. I think we had a debate team or something like that. A little bit of that. But I think primarily that there's always been this challenge, this kind of persona in me that wants to challenge, especially if I feel it's something that needs to change or it's just inherently wrong. Like I just can't sit back and be okay with certain things. I have to at least try, especially if I have a vested interest in something or it's, best interest of a family member or a good friend or something like that, or just anyone, period. But I think that's where it started. And, I was just a regular dude, hanging out like everyone else. I would go to school. I was always very disciplined, but I hung out like everyone else. I went through the process of being a teenager, hitting the clubs and things of that nature, but there was always something in me that always maintained this very, very high level of discipline. I think that came from what my family instilled in me, but your family could only take you but so far, right? At some point, there's 3 men here. At some point, we become old enough to know right from wrong, and we know what we want or not. Now, some of us have different dynamics, and so we go through different things. We end up in different places. That could have been me at any point in time. Sometimes you make, be in the wrong place, wrong time, whatever it is, right? But sometimes people just get lucky in life. I think that's true. I think you just get lucky sometimes. But for me, that's definitely where it started. It started at home, and I kind of just followed wherever the universe was taking me at that time, and this is where I ended up. Now, there are sometimes days when I do question what my next move is, and I think that's a healthy mindset to never be complacent with where you are. I'm never satisfied. Different from never, I'm not saying I'm never appreciative of things. I'm just never satisfied in terms of what can I do to be a better version of myself? How can I be better? Because I'm
the hunger for more.
Yeah, man, hunger for more. Because I'm a perfectly imperfect human being. Mm-hmm. We all are, and I think that drive is what continues to lead me to different things, different avenues. But I still have different passions. I still love acting.
Hold that thought right there.
Yeah.
Because I want to touch on that.
Okay.
Before you go further, because you talk, and I need you to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, yo, bro, cut me off.
Don't worry about it.
Cut me off, man.
He's the cutoff king.
I'm the cutoff king. Yeah. So look, there's a reason why I cut you off. All right. So you mentioned earlier about acting, right? Mm-hmm. Got a 2-part question. The first part is, when did you start acting? You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'll let you answer that first, and then I'll go to the next question.
So I officially started acting during college. Okay. I took some courses.
So none in high school?
Did well. Nothing in high school. Okay. Nothing in high school. Officially in college. Did well, but as I said, I chose to
play,
go law, right?
Play or something like that? Or?
No, actual, just courses. So, acting classes taught by professors that were actors.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but when you in Courtroom, the whole shit is an act.
100%.
I was going there.
100%. I tell people that all the time.
It's the best actor wins.
The jury, that's my audience. Yeah. And the attorney, that's my role. And I'm trying to convince the jurors to believe.
So is that why you pursued acting? Because you tied it into the attorney part of it, or you legitimately wanted to do acting?
I legitimately had a passion for acting.
Okay.
And I still do. Okay. Legitimately. I just didn't have at that time, I didn't have the guts
See, that's what I don't. That's why that's why I asked you the question, because I don't like how you said that, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Piggyback on what my brother just said. So, for those that don't know about the court system, unfortunately, everybody in this room does. You have a lawyer that's going against the prosecution. You have opening statements. You have to present a case to 12 people. Once again, all this shit is an act. And you have to do a summation at the end to try to not to get the person that you're representing get incarcerated. So with that being said, I don't understand how you can say right there that you're afraid to act when you're doing the most acting when literally somebody's life is on the line.
Right.
Like, that shit is like a super duper contradiction. But
no, not afraid to act. During college, I had to make a decision. Do I want to pursue becoming an actor, or do I want to pursue becoming an attorney?
Oh, okay. I get it now.
Yeah.
All right.
No, not now. No. And when you guys are ready, we'll talk about how I got involved in acting.
No, we
trying
to do. We trying to get into it.
But that's what happened when I was a college student, and then ultimately said, all right, I'm going for law.
All right. Did anything happen to you physically in the Bronx where you was like, yo, you know what? This law thing, I got an itch for it. Like, something happened to me. That's why before I got incarcerated, like, I didn't care about law at all.
Right.
But now that I understand this language and this whole, I call it a language. It's a whole, because if you don't understand it, you don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? But did something happen to you where you're like, yo, this is what I want to do? Or you was just like, nah, this is.
There was specifically.
Have you ever got, I'm sorry, have you ever got like locked up before?
No.
Okay,
No.
so you clean slate.
Right.
Fresh.
Fresh.
Okay.
There was one incident. This was during high school. I was driving a car. I never forget. My first car was a Buick Park Avenue. I'll never forget. And it was like the pimp mobile. I used to get about 10 guys in that car. I had suede blue seats in the back.
Oh, you had the dice in the front,
Man,
too.
well, you know, my parents
had the dice.
mirror, right?
Yeah.
You had the dice on
My
there.
parents, they came to me and they said, you know, look, Papi, what type of a car would you like? And my response was, I would appreciate anything. No, tell us, what would you like? I'll never forget this. We crack up about this all the time. And I said, okay, a black 4-door sports car. They bought me a white 2-door luxury car.
You made it work.
The exact opposite.
God bless them.
But that's what they were able to afford at the
God
time.
bless them.
You know what I mean? And listen, I made it work. Wheels are better than heels, as they say, you know?
Word,
But
them feet.
Yeah. Of course. But yeah, that was kind of like the process or the progress, if you want to call it that, the maturation of Jamie.
Okay.
As they say.
So let's talk about because again this pod, you know, we hit the views with a curveball because you're the first attorney that we had on this. You know what I'm saying? You want to say something?
I gotta apologize. I didn't answer your question though.
No, good.
So just to rewind, so I was around Fordham Road. I'll never forget. I forget why. I think I was heading home, and next thing you know, I see lights behind me. Cops pull me over. Cop approaches, gets me out the car. I don't know anything about rights at that time, right?
How old were you? You remember?
I had to have been around 16
Oh,
years
you were
old.
young.
I was young.
Okay.
Yeah, I was young, 16, 17. I get out the car. I said, officer, you know, is anything wrong? Is there a problem? He says, well, you match the description in your car, typical stuff, right?
Regular bullshit.
Of someone who was in a car and was involved in a robbery. So I said, oh really? Well, it wasn't me. Continues to pat me down, goes in the car, searches the car, doesn't find anything. Then he comes back to me, he's patting me down some more.
Everything is illegal.
Right. And now it was wintertime because I had a coat or jacket on. He unzips my jacket and he sees I still have my uniform on from my high school. I had my tie on, everything. And he says, oh, you're a student? I said, I am a student. As soon as he saw my tie,
Everything changed.
everything
She
changed.
relaxed.
Let me go immediately.
Mama huevo.
Right? But I'll never forget that encounter because when I left, first question I asked myself was, why did I get stopped? Second question was, what if I wasn't wearing a tie? Right? And that's the sad reality for a lot of our young people. a lot of our young people. So when you ask me, was there something that happened, that encounter always
That was the trigger.
Yeah.
So we're going to, I'm going to use that because now we're going to get into nitty gritty. And I'm going to keep it 100. Like the background, the viewers, they want to hear the shits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of elements in car stops, you already know. It opens up a whole can of worms.
Yep.
That whole shit was illegal.
Yeah. But he got away with it because he had a tie on.
Sure.
And
but
they could have tore the car. They could have ripped the seats. They could have searched the trunk.
All types of shit.
It could have got weird.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My case started with a car stop. So I already know what type of time car stops could lead into it could lead to you 20 years in prison, bro, if you don't know what's in that car.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So you were driving, you got pulled over, you had the tie on, he left you alone, he fell back. This was in the Bronx?
Bronx, Fordham Road.
And the Bronx is upside down right now. So, you get pulled over. Now, I mean, now it's kind of different because there's body cams now. So they can't get away with the shit that they used to get away with. You know what I'm saying? Like, because these body cams, you can't hide from them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, just recently there was and, I'm going to fast forward because we're going to get to the meat and potatoes. Just recently, the body cams caught COs that killed this inmate. Upstate.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't even know. They wasn't even activated. They didn't even know those things record 2 minutes prior before you press that button, and they thought they was going to wash him up and get away with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So now, 12 or 13 of them about to get locked up. But, they killed this dude. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, these type of situations been going on forever. But now because there's cameras involved,
Exactly.
Now it's getting exposed.
Magnified.
It's nothing new.
Magnified.
Because I'm sure you had a whole pipeline of cases that you had to defend and do what you do as an attorney. But this is wild, bro. You know what I'm saying? So how do you, this case, for example, I mean, it's all over the media. What's your take on this type of situation that happened that just went viral online?
Yeah. And so you hit it right on the head. One of the things you said was that this has been going on forever. Since the start of policing. The start of policing was all predicated upon racism, right? We all know that. So fast forward, America today, it's always existed. It's just there was no body cam. There was no social media.
It wasn't
Everyone
in your
has
face.
an iPhone now.
It wasn't in your face.
Right? And so now the exposure is quick. And it goes from one person to the next immediately. But that case, and obviously it was all over the news, disgusting. Just disgusting. Other officers standing around, just as guilty if you ask me.
Laughing.
In fact, you have a duty to intervene.
Exactly.
If you see your fellow officer is not acting accordingly. They should all be prosecuted, 100%. They should all be I think the kid was in handcuffs too.
Yeah, exactly.
He was in handcuffs.
Yeah. And because we've been up north, when you on a medical run like that, you're cuffed in the front. You're not cuffed in the back.
Right.
So the fact that they cuffed him in the back, and he was on a medical run for whatever he did.
Nah, it was a transfer.
Whatever he was on, you still cuffed in the front.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was it was crazy, man. I
Right.
see things like that, and it just makes my blood boil because, I was there. You know what I'm saying? It could have happened to any one of us.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact that these type of situations are being televised, and now now the world sees it. They're like, oh no, this got to stop. What?
And the sad part is, it still happens in the jails, in the prisons, on the street. It still happens. One of the reasons is because of qualified immunity. So,
Well, explain that.
yeah.
'Cause I know what that means, but
not a problem.
Explain what
Sure.
that is.
So essentially, qualified immunity protects the officers, really any government entity, from being held personally liable for their actions. This is the reason why when we get these civil rights cases, we essentially, let's say it's NYPD, we'll name as defendants NYPD, we'll name the city of New York, and we'll name officers. And if we don't know officers, typically you'll name them as John Does. But ultimately, these officers, many of them, they're not losing their jobs.
At all.
They're not losing their pensions. Think about what happens when civilians end up getting arrested for something. Even if your case is later on dismissed, what happens for many individuals? You lose your job. Some people are losing custody of their children. You're losing your reputation, your home, your marriage.
And if you ain't got no money, you're going to be sitting in prison till you get released. But
because of public policy, and I'll get to it really brief, because of the public policy approach that the highest court in the land, Supreme Court, insists on really putting forth over the preservation of human life, they still have qualified immunity. So these officers know, I may mess up. Statistically, most of them are not prosecuted, statistically, whether it's on a state or federal level. So officers, the bad ones, not all of them, we all know, good people in law enforcement, but the so-called bad ones, they just continue to do what they do because there's ultimately no accountability. And so when I touched on public policy, what the public policy consideration is, well, if we remove qualified immunity and we hold officers personally liable, or we at least expose them to that possibility, we're not going to have enough cops.
Yeah.
That's the public policy argument.
You know what's crazy though? Like when we came here, and this is what I could go on forever with this, but I had told him, yo, bring me to a mailbox real quick. And what I was mailing out was a CCRB request. You know what I'm saying? And I'm laughing because I'm like, see, this is the sucker shit that they do. Bro, we in 2025. You can email everything. Yeah. And I know they're just waiting, we never received this, so cases, it's dropped. Like, this
Tell the people what that is.
Civilian Complaint Review Board. That's when cops violate your rights, and you have an agency that checks them to see if what they did was illegal. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they violated me, and, I know my shit, obviously. So, when I filed the complaint, you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to mail you something. You need to sign it, boom, boom, send it back. And I'm like, the whole process is online. But this one element, now you want to use snail mail?
Right.
To say you never got it, you never received it?
Yeah.
I emailed this shit anyway. But I already see the games that they play.
Oh, they play it with firms as well. When we submit FOIA requests for absolutely every single thing in connection to our civil rights cases, they're reluctant to turn it over, or they just won't turn it over, period, until the court gets involved, and then there's a discovery process, right? But by then, you're now months and months into your case, and they know this.
Even that, like in my situation, like I sent them the body cam footage, and the first thing they said was like, "How did you get this?" Because that's something that they usually get, and I had it and I provided to them. Listen, I did all the homework for you, everything.
Yeah.
So if y'all don't find out that this sergeant violated me, but it is what it is. Like you got to follow the protocol. You got to do what they do.
But we always find a way to navigate around certain things.
You mentioned a couple minutes ago, FOIA, right? What is that?
So freedom of information law is basically when you're looking to request information from, let's say, NYPD, you have a right to submit that request, and they're supposed to turn it over. But as I was mentioning before, they play games. So one of the things we do is we always try to be as aggressive as possible, because we understand, listen, if there's someone's brother or son who was shot and killed, that family wants answers as quickly as possible. But there is a distinction between when there's a death-related incident caused by a member of NYPD versus maybe someone was shot and wasn't killed. If there's no death, typically the district attorney's office is going to handle it. If there's a death, it automatically goes to the AG, Attorney General's office. So that's another process. In the AG's office, they take a considerable amount of time to review their cases. And so the whole dynamic could be extremely, extremely frustrating for everyone. But we just keep the foot on the pedal, so to speak, and we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until there's some level of accountability. Now, that means different things for different people. People talk about justice. If you really think about it, if someone just lost their loved one, there's no amount of so-called justice that's going to make it right? So what I tell people is this term justice is thrown around rather loosely, in my opinion. For me, for us, it's really about accountability. That's what it's really about. Yeah.